Hey everybody, this is Zach from Board with Friends, and today we're going to be taking a look at a older game. It's from about 2005, so I guess it's not that old. But recently I was digging through some old stuff, and I found an old backpack full of these action figures here. That you might find them familiar. We got some Star Wars stuff. We got some Transformer stuff. And I don't have any Marvel stuff from this line, but this is the Attacktix figures. Basically, this was Hasbro's answer to HeroClix. They wanted an action game that was, tabletop miniatures game that was easy to learn, quick to play, and I believe, in my opinion, it was incredibly successful. And I was excited to find these figures, and I thought, you know what? Let's bring some more light to these things, because we're doing a little bit of research online. There's still a really dedicated player base for this game. It was never officially canceled by Hasbro. It was put on hiatus, I think in 2007, 2006, and then it just never came back, which is a shame because it really is a fun game. It adds obviously a toy element with these action figures that you see here on these bases, but it was designed to be a game that you could just open up the box, put them on the table, and just play. There was no dice, there was no cards, nothing. And that sounds really simplistic, but it is. It had these bases that had little wheels on the bottom here that would tick as you move them across the table to indicate how many spaces of movement they could go. These figures had different styles, some of them like this Optimus Prime here. You could put a giant missile in their hand, and basically the objective was to knock over your opponent. I'm sure that just spawned a ton of arguments on whether or not Optimus Prime could take out Darth Vader. Guess what? He just did. But there were other styles of combat as well. If you moved your, these strikers, they were called, up to another player, you could pull them back and knock them over that way. The risk would be they were too close, so somebody else could come in and take them out now because they're closer to the combat zone. But it really added a fun strategic element with the toys, beautiful sculpts all around. This was from the era of Transformers that was, when the Cybertron TV show was on, hence why these designs for like Megatron and Optimus look the way they do. Arguably one of the best Optimus Prime designs ever, though. And it was just a fun series because they added so many different characters to it. I mean, the Ewoks are in it. Who wants to play with them? The Transformers added the elements of transforming. So like this Skyblast, his name's right there. He was from, I think, the Energon series. Sure. But if he flipped over, when a character was knocked over, if this little window here showed, I don't know if you can see it on my camera, it's a little faint. If it was white, then you got to do a special ability that was shown on there. So this says put Skyblast vehicle mode into play from your backups. So you literally got to transform him into his vehicle mode, which was pretty neat. And then if this one got knocked over, if this was white, it just happened to be, put Skyblast into play from your backups. So you could switch them back and forth. As long as you had them in your backups. So what I want to do in this video is just kind of give a rundown on how to play it. Because, like I said, I was looking online, there's a lot of older videos, and I just enjoyed this game, and I want to, go over it again. I'm hoping to get Sean to do a live play of this at some point, just to, maybe help bring back some, fun of this game, and maybe people will start campaigning Hasbro to bring it back with newer sculpts and newer figures, because that would be super cool. But yeah, let's jump over to an actual rules breakdown, how this game is set up. Alright, so when you want to set up a team for your Attacktix tournament, basically you pick a total number of points that each player is going to build a team around. So when you look at a player's base here, it shows a little number on it. It shows who they're associated with, it shows their name, and they have their special abilities at the bottom. Typically, a tournament will have... out of focus there. Typically, a tournament will have teams up to 100. So you just add up the bases until you have 100 points worth of characters, and there's your team. You're also allowed up to 50 points in your backups. figures that will be off to the side. They're not in the main play, but sometimes special abilities will let you pull from your backups. And we'll get more into that in a little bit. But say I want to make a Star Wars versus Transformers team. So I got Luke Skywalker here. He's worth 30. I could have him team up with his dad. He's worth 30, so that's 60 points. We could throw a Stormtrooper in there for another 30, and that's 90 points right there. If I could find a 10, I got a lot of figures here. Oh, look at that. Wicket is a 10. So it doesn't matter if this makes sense continuity-wise, but right there is a 100-point team. Not the best kind of team to have. I mean, it's a very striker-based team because we got, Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker with lightsabers, Wicket with a stick, and one blaster with a Stormtrooper. But then we have our Transformers team. So let's say we have Optimus Prime, who is worth 40. Whoa, 90 would be crazy. Then we'll have him team up with Megatron. Both of these are blaster characters. So that's another 40. That's 80. And then maybe I want to have a striker for this team. And I'm going to put out my favorite striker, if I remember correctly, Battle Ravage, because he's worth 20. Now I want to build my backups. So if I look at the special abilities on these, this says replace one of your Decepticon figures with this figure if it's white. So the gold-based Megatron, I could, if he gets knocked over, replace Battle Ravage with him if I wanted to do that. If I wanted to change this, though, I could use the black-based Megatron. Put Megatron vehicle mode into play for my backup. So I'm going to use that one instead. And now I can use Megatron's vehicle mode, which was this really weird looking jet, which the piece here is on a hinge so you can aim the bullet up and down. And what this would also allow me to do is, if this is in my backups, this is worth 30. If we say my backups are, I wouldn't be able to fit Megatron in there again, because Megatron is definitely not, there's no 20 Megatrons in there. But I'll put that in my backups. Let's look at Battle Ravage here. It says, return one of your other defeated Battle Ravage figures to play. So this is a kind of figure that you'd want to, I remember now, you want to build a team with multiple Battle Ravages, so you could keep bringing them back if the figures, if it shows white at the bottom, which is pretty cool. Then we have the Gold Optimus Prime, Stand-Up Super Optimus Prime if you have another figure in play, which is super helpful. If he gets knocked down and you have someone else in play, you can bring him back up again. And if we have Wicket here, it says, your opponent may not attack any of your Ewoks on their next turn. Well, I don't have any other Ewoks, so that's not very helpful. Not the best team I've ever created here. Free move up to 3 of your Empire figures, so I could move, if I wanted to build an entire team of Empire, this would be a good thing for my Sand Trooper. But Darth Vader is associated with Empire, so he would also get a free move if my Sand Trooper gets knocked down. And I can replace one of my troopers with this figure, so I could basically switch out the Sand Trooper with Darth Vader if he got knocked over. And then there's Luke Skywalker. Put Princess Leia into play from your backups. I don't think I have a Princess Leia. I'd have to go through that entire pile to see that. But that's the idea. You'd build a team with the numbers on it and have your backups that could be pulled in potentially by the special abilities. The types of figures you have here, we've already shown a few of these things. You got your blasters like Optimus Prime and the Sand Trooper. You got your strikers like Wicket here, or my favorite Battle Ravage because he's got this awesome chain mace. And he was always like just fun to hit people with. But then they had some other weird ones too, just to show you a few. Like Scorponok here. There's no mechanism in here. There's no springs or anything like that. This is completely powered by you. What you would do is try to position him in a space that was close to the figure and then flip him. You just grab this piece and flip the arm. And it would throw him across the room. And if you knocked over other figures when you did that, awesome. You got even more power out of it. Then they had some fun stuff. I think the unofficial term was pokers. Guys like Landmine here. Oh, sorry, Landquake. This is the white repaint of him. This piece here, when you push the button, would just pop out. It was spring-loaded. So you'd want to get him really close. I'm just going to beat up on Battle Ravage all day and try to knock him over that way. And so similar to a striker, but just a different type of attack, which was pretty neat. But then the really unique one was a guy like Ransack here. He had this figure. When you put it up, it was neat. It was a double movement, I guess you could say. I'll keep killing Ravage. That's fun. This fork would shoot forward, and you'd try to get it to shoot forward and actually like latch around something, whether it was an arm or a leg, and then you got to twist and try to flip it. And I totally messed that up. Battle Ravage might not be the best one for this one. Like that. So you could twist and flip them over. And then you'd reset it by pulling it back like so. It's very, very, very simple, obviously, but it's really neat. Like this stuff that the combinations that you could come up with, because you could mix and match universes. There was Marvel sets for this game. Unfortunately, I don't have those to show those off. But because I don't know why, I just never got them. But it was really fun to just build teams very quickly. I played this a lot with my nephews. Actually, some of these belong to them because they wrote their names on them. And it was just fun because, we just come up with our own teams of, mixing match Star Wars and Transformers, Empire and Jedi working together, Autobots and Decepticon teams crossing over. The last figures to be released, as far as I know, there was a set they did do a Generation 1 Optimus Prime and Megatron. I was able to get my hands on those before the line was canceled. And I used to have endless fun playing this game. So let's make a little mock setup here. And I will show you how a typical turn would go. Alright, so we got our battlefield set up here. Typically the battlefield is like 30 inches away. I mean, you can set up whatever you'd like. It could be a foot, it could be across the entire table. It doesn't really matter. What you do is, you decide who goes first. So the first thing you notice here is on the windows of these figures at the top, there's a little, it shows you how much movement a character can have, but when you grind them, that can change. It could be, who's a better option for it? Like Battle Ravage here. It could be white or red or black or red, that's what it is. And somebody would call that out and say, pick one of the colors, and if they were correct, they get to go first. You could also flip a coin. It doesn't really matter. Whoever does end up going first, everybody's going to grind their figures so that the bottom is randomized, and they make a really satisfying clicking noise when you do it. And, you'd catch people who try to push on the back of it so that it doesn't grind as much, but it doesn't matter. It's all in good fun when you're playing just tabletop between friends. Once we get our team set up here, and the person goes first, we'll let the Star Wars go first. Whoops, forgot to silence that. We'll let the Star Wars guys go first. We'll say that they won. Typically, you can move all your figures, their entire range of movement if you want to. That doesn't matter. But you do have only 2 attacks afterwards. That's how your turn's going to go. So first you move, and then you attack. So if we look at Wicket here, he's got 8 movement. I don't know. You really can't see that on the camera. But you just kind of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Get them as close as you can. The problem with strikers, like I said, Wicket's probably not the best of strikers because this style of figure has a very small base, which means he's easily knocked over. But if you can get him close, go for it because that's a pretty powerful attack when you have a striker. And then we'd move our Sand Trooper. I think he's 6. Yeah, it says it right on there. But you don't have to do your full movement if you don't want to. So like shooters, you could keep further back if you'd like. Because if they get in range of a striker, they're easily going to get knocked down. But when they have the blasters, allow them to shoot from far away. And then you'd want to move your strikers into position to try to, maybe flank the team. And then you have to make a decision how you're going to attack. Now, I don't have anybody close enough to attack right now except for my Stormtrooper. So I would try to take aim, which will be super fun to attempt to do. And you just kind of fire. Oh my god, I got him. Alright, so Battle Ravage got knocked out first try, which is too bad because I was really looking forward to playing with him. And that was pretty good from the side, I gotta say. I'll toot my own horn on that. But you check and see if it's white. It is, but return one of my defeated Battle Ravage figures to play. I didn't make a team with an extra Battle Ravage figure, which is too bad. If I had, and someone else had already been knocked out, then he would be brought into play at that point, and I could start him at the beginning of the line. But if I had another Battle Ravage on the field, and now this guy's dead, and he gets a white pip underneath when he gets knocked over, then this guy could come back. Now it's the Transformers' turn, and they are really at a disadvantage here. So if I move Megatron, he has a movement of 4. I can move him into play, and when you go to attack, this is what's neat. This is the toy element. It's not, I just push the button here and he goes. I actually get to maneuver this figure around. I can move his arms, I can move him however I'd like. I could even put his blaster right up against Wicked's face if I wanted to. The neat thing here is that, you know, you cannot knock him over just from movement. But when you do the attack, that's, you know, you can position him any way you'd like. Optimus Prime, he's got a movement of 4 as well. He has a very large blaster. This missile on here is huge, but it doesn't go very far. So you want to think about those kinds of things. So if now I've moved my 2 remaining figures, I can move Megatron. I'm going to lift his gun just a little bit. Notice he's got a curved missile. He's got a very unique missile in this game, if I remember correctly. I don't think anybody else had this except him. This is hard to do from the side. But if I fire it, boom, he's gonzo. So that knocks Wicked out. Wicked also had white at the bottom. I don't know what the percentage is to get it white, but I don't have any other Ewoks in play, so he's gone. And now Optimus Prime, because the blasters are able to attack. With the Empire, I only fired 1 shot because none of my strikers were in range, so I couldn't do a second attack. But the Optimus Prime, he could potentially knock somebody out. Now, I could try to take out the Stormtrooper. It's probably the easiest one of the 3 to hit. But I am going to try to take out Darth Vader. Because, honestly, which I don't think you guys can see, actually. Yeah, should I move the camera? Yeah, let's slide the camera forward just a hair. There we go. And try to take out Darth Vader with Optimus Prime. So, if we can maneuver this, and I'm doing this from the side, so please bear with me. So you aim his cannon up. He's got a super powerful cyber key power, if I remember correctly, from the Cybertron show. And, oh, I got him! All right. It's fantastic. So we knocked out Darth Vader. And if we look here underneath, it is black, not white. So I don't get to replace a trooper with this figure. So Darth Vader's out. And then we would just go back and forth between the 2. So now we're even sides here. Someone's definitely in danger of Luke Skywalker knocking them out. The Stormtrooper, the Sand Trooper I'm not super worried about. But we're going to reload the Sand Trooper. We're going to try to reload the Sand Trooper. There we go. And you gotta be a little bit of leeway with the, the reloading and moving the figure just a hair. Not a huge deal. But we'll move Luke Skywalker into position now. Do my movement there. I'm going to back up. 1, 2. There we go. So, with Luke Skywalker in position, I'm going to try to take out Megatron. And like I said, I can move the figures any way I want. So I'm going to raise up his lightsaber here. And you notice, give him some credit here. I mean, this maneuver, this is probably not how you would hold a sword properly. But when you're using a striker, twist the base at the bottom here, but don't move, because you want him to aim through the character that you're trying to hit. So there's some resistance there from the springs, and then you would let go and whack him. And that's it. And if he's white, it is not white, so I don't get to put the vehicle mode in play for my backups. So Megatron's out. And now I get an extra, my second attack, I can now use the Sand Trooper. And he's going to try to take out Optimus. Now, if I remember correctly from my childhood, this particular Optimus is very difficult to knock over. Because he's got a very wide base. He's also a huge figure on that base. And it was a big thing. So let's see if this Sand Trooper can deal the damage. What you'd want to do is aim right for the head, quite honestly. Just like Beast Wars Megatron did. And then hit that, and come on. Boom! We got it. So we'll take a look here. It is not white. Stand up Super Option Prime if you have another figure in play. I don't have another figure in play, so that was a smart move on my part. I'll toot my own horn there too. But that's it. I mean, it's super simple, but it's really fun. Really cool game. And there's tons and tons of figures here that just add to the variety of it. The different types of play that you can do. Even silly stuff like, this C-3PO here. That's his attack. He waves his arms in the air. It's a terrible figure. I don't think I've ever actually played this on the field. Maybe I did when I only had a few figures to work with. They obviously, tons of repaints here. You got, your Starscreams. They repainted him into Skywarp, which is a natural thing for Transformers. We got Darth Vader's with Force Push, which was really cool. Let me see if I can find one of those. I don't see one. But like the Force Push blasts, these were designed like this. This one was for G1 Optimus Prime, but it was the same missile as the Force Push. But these kinds of missiles, they took out everything when you hit them because they were gigantic. And if you arced them just right, they'd fly across the room and you could take out multiples with these. They also had, and this was awesome, they were just fun figures to play. The Mega, what they called Megas? They were just called Battle Masters, sorry. These were giant figures, like the ATRT here. These, this one had multiple missile slots that you could fire off, and it was just fun to move around the table. And they were harder to take down because you couldn't necessarily knock them over. You had to hit these panels on them. When you clicked one, nothing happened. But if you managed to click two, it would cause them to flop over because it would release the feet here. And what was neat was if you were good, especially with strikers, if you could get them close enough, it is possible to hit both of these at the same time and knock the figure over in one shot. And you felt like a boss when you did it. On the Transformers side, they had Battle Masters as well. We had the Omega Sentinel. There was an Omega Supreme. I don't know where that one ended up, but the Omega Supreme worked a lot like Scorponok. Instead of having a blaster, he had a big shovel arm, so you could walk it up and take out tons of figures at the same time. But the blaster on this Omega Sentinel just fired 4 bullets. Just clicking them around, firing them. But they were also very tiny missiles, the normal size ones like this. So it's really interesting tactics. These were not allowed in tournament play, though. I used to have endless fun with this game. And I know it's not available anymore, so it seems silly to do a video on it now. But if you had this game back in the day and you still have your figures, I encourage you, take them out. See if they still work, first of all, because the springs do wear out. But yeah, I want to see this come back. I would love to see this come back with, modern designs of, newer characters. The canceled waves, there was rumors that there was going to be a G.I. Joe wave, because it is Hasbro. Why not use your IPs? There's tons of Star Wars characters that still haven't been made into this game. There was the next wave of Transformers that unfortunately got canceled was more Generation 1 characters, which would have been great to see for the older audience. I know they had some, like there was an Ironhide that was holding a stoplight and he could swing it in a melee attack. There was a Starscream jet that was on a string, and literally you could lift up off the string. Instead of just being a molded piece like this, you picked up the jet and it was on the little string, and you could maneuver it in any position above its base and fire from there. So you got a lot of cool options as far as how you could attack. The game had a lot of possibilities. There was even figures that just did effects to the game. Like there was an R2-D2 figure that when you clicked it, it changed effects in the game. I don't remember exactly what, because I never had that figure. But just fun stuff like that. But yeah, this is Attacktix from Hasbro. I would love to see it come back. It's been over a decade now. I think it's time to drop the hiatus. You're pushing as far as, Doctor Who limits as far as what hiatus means. So maybe if that show could come back, this game could come back after about 20 years. But again, thanks for going on this nostalgic trip with me. If you've played this game, comment below. Tell me what you thought of it. And I'm hoping to get a live play of this in, a real full game with much better choice of the who we field with Sean. So we'll see what happens there. But comment below, let me know what you think. Do like the cool kids do. Like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you next time.